to our Tuesday, May 24th City Council agenda session. Tonight's Pledge of Allegiance and invocation, if he chooses, will be led by Councilman Smith.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Move the agenda, sir.
Thank you, Councilman Smith. We have no presentations this evening. Can I get a motion on our minutes?
Second.
Minutes will stand without objection. Ordinances on final reading, Parks and Public Works. Madam Clerk, item 5A, please.
An ordinance closing and abandoning an open right-of-way in the 200 block of Delawana Terrace as detailed on the attached map subject to certain conditions.
Seeing no lights, have a motion for approval. I do hear a second. Questions, comments before we vote? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Madam Clerk, item 6A, would you please read the planning version number 2?
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance, so as to rezone property located at 702 Manufacturers Road from M1 Manufacturing Zone to RRV6 Riverview Zone and RRF6 Riverfront Zone, subject to certain conditions.
Is the applicant present? I do have an applicant. Is there any opposition present? Councilman Henderson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Could you come up and just verify the conditions for planning version 2, please?
Okay, there are 2 conditions describing the area that'll have a condition of 5 stories, and we have read those before. There's additionally some additional, there's some additional conditions, and I'll start with those. Number 1, property owner will cooperate in good faith with the city, including granting fee title or easement rights to allow an extension of the Riverwalk to cross the property along the shoreline of the river at such time as the city is prepared to construct such extension. Number 2, property owner will cooperate in good faith with the city to allow spaces for public parking, access off the public right-of-way Paper Mill Road, if successfully reopened by the city, and the surface parking area to be constructed by the property owner at the property during the initial development of the site. And 3, if the city desires to construct additional public amenities along the river at this site, for example, picnic tables, public art, restrooms, then property owner will engage those discussions with the city in good faith as to location, area needed, etc. Details for any such additional public amenities must be finalized by the city not later than issuance of a building permit for the primary buildings to be constructed on the site. Any conveyance of land ownership to the city to occur at such time as the city is prepared to construct such amenities.
Thank you, Karen. Mr. Chair, I move approval of planning version number 2.
I do have a motion to approve planning version number 2. I do hear a second. Questions, comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Madam Clerk, 6B, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance, so as to rezone part of a property located at 1115 North Moore Road from R1 residential zone to R3 residential zone, subject to certain conditions.
Is the applicant present? I do see an applicant. And just for the note, we did have a public hearing on this last week, but I wanted to also ask if any opposition was present. Councilman Hester, if you'll hit your light.
Okay, I want to.
There you go, sir.
First, let me thank those who came out Monday. Frederick Douglass once says, if there is no struggle, there's no progress. Change and progress go hand in hand. With change, we must continue to be good stewards in our community as we merge effectively together into that one Chattanooga. So I want to approve this with an amendment. And Karen, can you read the amendment? I want to move to approve first.
Second. I do have a motion to approve and a second, which puts the item on the floor. Karen?
The Regional Planning Agency was asked at committee to develop a condition for a berm buffer. And it's on the slide if we can pull that up, but I'll start reading. A landscape buffer shall be installed around the perimeter where abutting R1 residential zone. The buffer shall consist of a grass-covered earthen berm being 6 feet in height with a 2-to-1 slope with a minimum of 3 feet in width, planted with hollies, 6 feet in height, planted on 7-foot centers along the top of the berm. This is in addition to the required condition of a type A landscape buffer. The berm landscape buffer shall be along the property line with the type A landscape buffer to the interior of the site.
Okay, I move to approve as amended.
We have a motion to approve the amendment.
I motion to approve the amendment.
Do have a second. Questions, comments before we vote on the amendment? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The amendment has succeeded.
Move to
Looking for a-
approve as amended.
Looking for a motion to amend, approve as amended. I do hear a second. Questions, comments before we vote? I do have a light. Madam Vice Chair.
Yes, I did just want to make a statement regarding this particular development. Any other case, I do try to support my colleagues and what they're doing in their districts. In this case, because of the management company, I just cannot support that management company. However, I do support affordable housing. I do, support our seniors and all the things that they're trying to do. And of course, I always support the faith-based community. But just the history of Penrose in District 7 is just so horrible that I just can't support that. So I just wanted to just make sure that was on the record, and I would ask for a roll call vote, please.
Yes, ma'am. Before we vote, I just have Councilman Henderson.
Chief Joda, when we, and I want to support the amendment and this development. Here's my concern. This is senior housing, and where this senior housing is going. And I know that the mayor's we've got a lot of money set aside for developing affordable housing. What I want to make sure is that we address development in a way that addresses the whole being or the well-being of our residents. And there's a study out that shows that walking just 1 hour a day for many of our seniors reduces the risk of that mortality, the big 5 mortality diseases, by 70%. When I look at this development and I ask myself the question, what is inviting these seniors to go out and walk 1 hour a day? I think those are the kind of things that we have to be considerate of, and we have to look at when we start developing this kind of housing. We have a rec center across the street at Brainerd. I wonder about the possibilities of putting a health clinic in the rec center that would not only be a benefit for this senior housing, but it would be a benefit for the neighborhood and the community as well. And from what I understand, it's a food desert. What's the possibilities of turning the rec center into a farmer's market on the Saturdays, maybe once a month or once a week, and trying to come up with some initiatives that really start to address the whole being of a person and not just providing for the shelter. We need to provide for the health of these residents. We need to provide for the well-being of these residents. So as we move forward in these affordable housing projects, I think these are the kind of things that we need to look at. I understand that we want to keep these units affordable, but affordability is also linked with good health, well-being. We don't want to isolate our seniors. We want them to get out and be able to move around. And I think those are some of the things that we look at as we move forward in the development, is developing for the well-being of these residents.
Thank you, Councilman. Absolutely. So a couple of things. One is that we absolutely are interested and want to explore the possibility of using our community spaces as flexibly and as to expand livability in a community, particularly where we are helping facilitate and create affordable housing. Right now, our Office of Community Health, which is a brand new office that Mayor Kelly created, has health navigators that go to community centers and provide healthcare services. And we are going to continue to expand that. And I look forward to working with each member of this council to do that work. I think the idea of a farmer's market is fantastic. And we're looking at participating in a few food policy council to reduce the number of food deserts and food swamps that we have in our community. And this is work that will continue to be prioritized and will be ongoing as we get into the work of creating affordable housing in our community. But I'll underscore that nothing can be more important than creating safe, livable, and affordable places to live. So we're appreciative of the feedback and comments, and we'll definitely take that into consideration as we create more holistic community spaces.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman. Dr. Burrs?
On what my colleague said, I very much support the project. What is written in the proforma that would protect us from, and I agree about Penrose's performance, what is in the proforma that protects that same sort of neglect from happening again?
So I think that this is the start of a conversation. This is simply a zoning request, but I know that this particular development will most likely come back before this body whenever they come back and request things like incentives to make this level of affordability possible. And this administration is committed to holding the developer and the management group accountable. And you'll see that language included in any incentive the city provides. And I just want to particularly call out what Councilwoman Dotley quite correctly raised, which is that we need to make sure that developers and property management groups that are creating a level of affordability are actually living up to their promises, and the city and this administration will ensure that language, including and up to and including clawbacks, are included in any incentive.
So let me get, and I guess you're the best one to answer this. So you're right, this is strictly a zoning matter. And once we start the ball rolling with the zoning, then a lot of things are going to come up afterwards, like wanting incentives, wanting all sorts of things. Do you know in flowchart version what that is?
So essentially, and I don't have that all in front of me, but after we go through a zoning change, there will likely be a request for a pilot, and again, we haven't gotten that quite yet. At least I'm not aware of that. And in the discussions about what conditions we would attach to that pilot, the administration and this body would have an opportunity to attach conditions, and I think that would be appropriate.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Burrs. Seeing no other lights, let me pause for a moment. Councilwoman Coonrod, welcome. We have a motion on the table to approve the amended version with the berm condition that you see on your screen, and that has passed our first vote for amendment. We are now into approving the request as amended. Just wanted to bring you up to speed. And there has been a request for a roll call vote. Okay, does that help you? Yeah. Thank you. Yes. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, we're glad you're here. Any other questions or comments? I do want to add one thing to what Dr. Burrs said. This is the rezoning portion of this project. This is not the final conversation. There's a lot more conversation to be had, and a lot more input to be received. And I want to make sure that is very clear to everyone who had concerns. So we do have a motion for the amended version. Madam Clerk, will you roll call vote, please?
Councilman Henderson? Yes. Councilwoman Hill? Yes. Councilman Smith?
Yes.
Councilman Hester? Councilwoman Burrs?
Yes.
Councilwoman Knoll?
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod?
Yes.
Vice Chair Dotley?
No.
Chairman Ledford?
Yes.
That's 7 yeses.
7 yeses. Item carries as amended. Madam Clerk, 6C, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance by adding Article 17 accessory dwelling units, Sections 38,764 through 38,771.
Councilwoman Hill.
Move to approve.
Thank you. I do have a motion to approve and a second. I see a light. Councilwoman Coonrod. Thank you.
Move to substitute the current version with ADU and then an alternate version.
We have a motion to replace the item on the agenda with item, will you read that again for the record, please?
ADU ordinance amendment, alternate version, May 24.
Madam Clerk, you have that copy? Madam Attorney, you have that copy?
Yes.
I'm getting confirmation. Questions or comments before we vote on the replacement? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? The motion to replace. Move to approve the substituted version. Do have a second. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Substituted version carries. Thank you, Councilwoman Hill. Madam Clerk, 7A under Economic Development.
A resolution authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into a first agreement to exercise option to renew with Street Grace, Inc. in substantially the form attached for the period through April 30, 2024, and to enter into a first amendment to office lease in substantially the form attached for the use of 106 square feet of office space at the Family Justice Center located at 5705 Uptown Road, identified as tax map number 157MA012 for the rent of $1 annually.
Dr. Burrs. I have a motion to approve. I have a second. Questions, comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Item carries. Madam Clerk, item 7B, please.
A resolution authorizing the interim administrator for the Department of Economic Development to enter into an agreement with the artist team Wild House, Scott Constable, and any Asteris Constable in substantially the form attached for the East Lake Park Interactive and Functional Artistic Seating Project in the amount of $150,000.
Madam Vice Chair,
Move to approve.
I have a motion to approve. I have a second. Questions, comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item carries. Madam Clerk, under Mayor's Office, will you please read C and D?
Item C, a resolution confirming Mayor Kelly's appointment of Kenny Smith for the Board of Electrical Examiners with a 4-year term expiration of May 24, 2026. Item D, a resolution confirming Mayor Kelly's appointment of Angie Toe for the Chattanooga Public Art Commission.
Councilwoman Coonrod? I have a motion to approve. I do hear a second. We are voting on, Dr. Burrs, is that an old light or new light? Did I turn you off? All right. You know I would never do that on purpose. We are voting on items C and D. We have a motion to approve. We do have a second. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Items carry. Under Police, item E, please.
A resolution authorizing the Chief of Police to enter into an agreement for animal control services between the City of Chattanooga and the Animal Care Trust, McCamey Animal Center, for a 5-year term beginning July 1, 2022 through June 30, 2027, for an amount not to exceed $10,619,300.
Councilman Henderson. Do have a motion to approve. I do have a second. Questions, comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Item carries. Madam Clerk, Parks and Public Works, item F, please.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Public Works to approve change order number 1 with Tricon Inc. of Cleveland, Tennessee for contract number Y17005-201 East Lake YFD Center renovations to increase the amount of $407,822.65 due to a supply chain cost increases, subgrade remediation, unforeseen structural modifications, and electrical service revisions, with a contingency amount $260,000 for revised contract amount of $4,093,572.65 for a total contract amount of $4,353,572.65.
Madam Vice Chair Dottley.
Move to approve.
I have a motion to approve. I do have a second. Questions, comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Item carries. We now move to purchases for this evening. Is it, Mr. Goldberg, are you presenting? I believe we have 8 items and 2 RFP requests on tonight's agenda.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. First, we have a purchase from the Waste Resources Division of Public Works. Second, and final renewal of contract for liquid oxygen with Matheson Trigas LLC and Airgas. Matheson submitted a 5% price increase at the time of renewal. The combined annual amount is not to exceed $150,000. Second, Citywide Services Division of Public Works, new blanket contract for common brick and pavers. One bid was received. The solicitation was re-advertised and did not yield any additional bids. The award goes to Acme Brick and Tile. This will be a 4-year contract with an annual amount not to exceed $35,000. Next, from Citywide Services Division of Public Works, second and final renewal of contract for tree planting services. Davis Key Outdoor submitted a 34% price increase at the time of renewal with an annual amount not to exceed $40,000. Fourth, from Parks and Outdoors, purchase of fence padding for Frost Stadium. 2 bids were received, and the award goes to River City Athletic Fields as the best bid meeting specifications. The amount is $46,200. Next, from Parks Maintenance Division of Public Works, purchase of 2 Kubota RTVs for a total of $29,988.44. This purchase utilizes Sourcewell Contract 031121-SCG. The aggregate Kubota RTV purchases citywide totals $87,986.40 year to date. Sixth, from Facilities Division of Public Works, new blanket contract for fire protection equipment and servicing. 1 bid was received. The solicitation was re-advertised, did not yield additional bids. The award goes to Fire Protection, Inc. This will be a 4-year contract with an annual amount not to exceed $110,000. Seventh, from Police, we have a purchase of Airworks Go Command Mission Ready Kits. This grant-funded purchase this grant-funded purchase is a sole source procurement. The vendor is Airworks Unmanned Solutions, and the amount is $149,997. And finally, from Fire, we have the purchase of a full-body harness. This purchase utilizes Sourcewell Contract 04220. The vendor is Municipal Emergency Services, and the amount is $31,724.
I do have a motion to approve. I do hear a second. Questions, comments before we vote on purchases this evening? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Thank you. And Brent, we have 2 RFPs.
Yes, sir. Both are from the police department. The first one is a request to issue an RFP for police department organizational evaluation consulting services. Competence, qualifications, and approach are more important than price in making the purchase determination. And there's more than one approach and solution. Therefore, proposals are needed to make a purchase decision. The second one is a request to issue an RFP for consulting services related to the establishment and development of a police foundation, which would be a separate 501c3 organization that exists to support the Chattanooga Police Department. Competence, qualifications, and approach are more important than price in making the purchase determination, and there's more than one solution available. Proposals are needed to make the purchase decision. We are not requesting to issue any awards at this time, only requesting to issue RFPs.
Thank you, Brent. Councilman Henderson, I see your light.
Move to approve both of the last RFP.
I have a motion to approve. I do have a second, and we did cover these extensively in our 3:30 session. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Items carry.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will now move into committee reports, and Councilwoman Coonrod? No report? Councilwoman Knoll? Dr. Burrs? That's you. You want to hit your light for me? We got some ground to cover here.
So we finished our second and final departmental education session today. It was a public session, and we completed that today. Here's the schedule from here on out. Next week, we have our public input session. It starts at 6 o'clock, and everyone, right now, it's scheduled for an hour. Speakers will have 2 minutes each to speak. And then following that, we will start at 2 o'clock on the following Tuesday, which I believe is what, the 7th?
Yes, ma'am.
At 2 o'clock at our strategic planning meeting, we will start our deliberations. Again, that is also in public, and we will be doing it in this room. Right now, first reading is scheduled for that night. However, we have the freedom to move it if need be. And then the second reading for the following week, again, we have the freedom to move it if need be. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Burris, for your hard work on this. Madam Vice Chair Dotley?
No.
Councilman Henderson?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir. Very good, sir. Could you do that with a little more energy next time? Councilwoman Hill? Councilman Smith? All right, Councilman Hester? Very good. Thank you all. Recognitions of persons wishing to address the council this evening. Is there anyone who would like to address the council this evening? If you would make your way to the podium. And while we do that, Madam Attorney, will you please read our rules, please?
Yes. Each speaker wishing to address the council should be recognized at this podium. Please limit your comments to those issues within the legislative and quasi-judicial authority of the council, and you will be limited to 3 minutes unless the council approves more time.
All right, Mr. IT, we can get 3 minutes. Evening, Miss Janice.
Good evening. Janice Gooden, District 8. I had not planned on speaking, but I just feel compelled to just make a brief statement. As we're talking about affordable housing and seniors especially, that's close to my heart because I worked in long-term care as well as acute care as a social worker. And that's a difficult thing to not have housing for seniors. So it's a definite need. But I can appreciate the concern about management. That's something that we seriously need to look at because as we're approving pilots, there has to be some accountability for the management of these facilities. That's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Gooden.
Thanks.
All right, next.
Good evening, Council.
Mr.
Monty
Bell.
Bell, the homeless journalist, the gray-haired fox. Affordable housing. As long as I've been out here on the streets, I still don't know what affordable housing is. And neither one of you have ever came to say, Mr. Bell, what are your ideas? What are your plans? You've been down here longer than anybody at the Homeless Community Kitchen. I don't have a response, really. But since you don't respond to me, what I do have, and I've looked at the charter, and it doesn't say that I can't bring a guest or a person or an audio recording, which is what I have. It's a few minutes of how my manuscript was stolen with Upward Bound, UTC, the Salvation Army, the City Council, the County Commission, the whole 9 yards. And this is with the police. And I am going to miss because you have my legal matters. And I want them. My legal matters. She has them. Police are with me. Nearly got shot. I'm going to play this in full length. I've gone to your IT department to have them put it up on your screen. Nobody wants to communicate. I do have my own equipment. I'm the broadcast journalist. I've been in this business for over 40 years. I've had to fight with your television and radio program personalities. I've been in this business longer than anyone here. I've gone through the process of having someone even on the city council to produce broadcasters without a license. I still have my broadcast license from 1976. There's no one on the air that can outproduce Monty Bell, the homeless journalist, the gray-haired fox. I'm sick of my program being over at Howard School. And by the way, it is a crime for what has happened to Brainerd, Howard, and Tyler students. I got $38 million I've been trying to give to these kids, and you all have deprived that opportunity. but you allow a candidate running for the mayor to use these kids and to vote Republican. I was told by the Democratic Party when I ran for the office of the city mayor, Democrats and Republicans in Chattanooga, Hamilton County are bipartisan. I'm not Democrat or Republican. I couldn't get a debate with 15 other candidates. And by the way, we want this Monty Buer that challenged me in this race. Monty Bell was the most popular homeless person, and we're going to show next week, 727.
Mr.
We've
Bell.
always used that address.
Thank you, sir.
We'll see you next week.
Good afternoon.
It's evening.
Evening, sir.
Good evening. Hello, my name is Reverend Anthony Chatman, Chatman. I'm kind of at odd, and maybe y'all can help me out because my understanding is a little off today. I heard Frederick Douglass quoted, where there is no struggle, there is no progress. Well, that is true. But I didn't hear that the other week when we were talking about rezoning, when it was dealing with rezoning about redlining and housing and voting rights. But I hear Frederick Douglass quoted for berm control. I'm a little off with that. Maybe y'all can help me with it. Then I was kind of thrown because the conversation that preceded it was about seniors and housing, which I agree with wholeheartedly. We do need to start protecting our seniors more, start giving them better living conditions, making it more affordable. I agree with that. Didn't hear none of that in the previous message, but maybe it's somewhere in the ordinance and stuff that I did not receive today. I'm a little concerned because we have a responsibility to all of our citizens, not just a few who can readily afford it, or when it is politically, how do I want to say it, politically accessible or right. I don't know what it took, what pre-quote, my sister probably could help me with that. You scratch my back, I scratch yours, that it would take to get our communities more recognized and more assisted. I may be up here ranting for this minute and 40 or whatever seconds it was, but that's my concern. Why are we not looking more into stuff that's going to affect the lives of the needy and not just the greedy? I don't understand it. We're talking about rezoning. Right in my subdivision, it was the front of it was rezoned for a boating dock. Hey, it happens. It's what we need. But we need y'all's attention in our communities and not just trying to deal with gangs, because every violence that happens in the Black community is not gang related. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Does anyone else wish to address the council this evening? Council, I am seeing no one. We are adjourned.